The darkness of space stretched endlessly around the UES Endurance as it patrolled the outer reaches of the solar system. Commander Allison Carter walked the bridge with steady steps, her blue uniform neat and her brown hair pulled back in a tight bun. She was halfway through her shift when the alert sounded. "Commander, we're picking up a signal," said Communications Officer Greg Hudson. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "It's not one of ours." Carter moved to his station. "What kind of signal?" "It's..." Hudson paused, his eyes widening. "It's not from our solar system, it's coming from Tau Ceti." The bridge fell silent. In the 10 years since humans had developed faster-than-light communication technology, they had sent countless messages into the void. None had ever been answered. "Put it through," Carter ordered. The main screen flickered. At first there was only static, but then an image formed. The crew gasped. The being on screen was clearly not human. It had a slender body with pale, almost translucent skin. Its head was slightly larger than a human's, with enormous eyes that took up nearly half its face. "Help us," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "Our ship is under attack. We are peaceful explorers. The Nalari want our technology. They will use it to hurt others. Please help." The image showed a smaller ship being fired upon by a much larger vessel. "How are they speaking English?" asked Lieutenant Kyle Nichols from the tactical station. Science Officer Eric Mendoza adjusted his glasses. "They must have intercepted our broadcast and learned our language. We've been transmitting into space for over 100 years. The alien continued. "We know you are from the high-gravity world, the forbidden planet. But you are our only hope. The elders were wrong to fear you. Please, we are at coordinates." The transmission cut off suddenly. "Can we get it back?" Carter asked. Hudson shook his head. "No, Commander, but I got the coordinates. They're in the Tau Ceti system, about 12 light-years from here." Carter frowned. "The forbidden planet? What does that mean?" "And who are these Nalari?" added Security Chief Olivia Bennett, her hand resting on the weapon at her hip. Carter stared at the blank screen. "Call a meeting of all senior officers in the conference room in 10 minutes and contact Earth Command. They need to see this." The conference room buzzed with tension as the officers watched the alien message again. General Patricia Walsh of Earth Command looked grave on the video screen connecting back to Earth. "This puts us in a difficult position," Walsh said. "This would be humanity's first contact with an alien species, and it involves an apparent conflict we know nothing about." "Diplomatic." Officer Samantha Riley spoke up. "The ethical choice seems clear. They asked for our help, we should respond." "We don't know anything about either of these species," Bennett countered. "For all we know, these Nalari are the good guys." "The message said they want technology to hurt others," Mendoza pointed out. "That suggests the Nalari are aggressors." Carter turned to Mendoza. "What did they mean by calling Earth the forbidden planet and high-gravity world?" Mendoza looked thoughtful. "Earth's gravity is likely higher than many habitable planets. Most stars smaller than our sun would have planets with lower gravity. As for forbidden, that's concerning. It suggests other alien civilizations know about us, but have chosen not to contact us." General Walsh sighed. "The President and the Security Council are discussing this now. In the meantime, Commander Carter, prepare your ship. If the decision is to respond, the Endurance will be our first choice. It's our newest and most advanced vessel." Carter nodded. "We'll be ready, General." 3 days later, the Endurance hummed with activity. The decision had been made. They would answer the call. Carter stood in the ship's loading bay watching as the last supplies were brought aboard. Dr. Liam Foster, the ship's chief medical officer, approached her. "How do you feel about all this, Commander?" he asked. Carter considered the question. "Honestly, nervous, excited. This is what we've trained for but never truly expected. First contact." "First rescue mission," Foster corrected with a small smile. "The universe is strange." Carter's communicator beeped. "Commander to the bridge, final preparations are complete." The bridge crew sat at their stations, faces serious, but eyes bright with anticipation. All systems check out, reported navigator Diane Powell. FTL drive is powered and ready. Carter took her seat in the command chair. Mr. Hudson, send our response to the coordinates where the distress signal originated. Hudson nodded. Sending message. This is the UES Endurance of Earth. We received your distress call and are coming to assist. ETA 48 hours. Carter looked around at her crew. They were the best Earth had to offer. Brave, smart, and adaptable. Humans had evolved on a planet that many would consider harsh. High gravity, extreme weather, diverse predators, and countless diseases had shaped humanity into a resilient species. Let's make history, people, she said quietly. Navigation, plot course, to Tau Ceti. Prepare for FTL jump. The stars on the view screen blurred as the ship accelerated beyond the speed of light. 2 days later, the Endurance dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Tau Ceti system. The crew had used the journey to prepare as best they could for any situation they might face. Scan the system, Carter ordered. Multiple planets detected, Mendoza reported from his science station. And 2 ships near the 4th planet, one large, one small. The small one appears damaged. Life signs, Carter asked. Yes, on both ships. The smaller ship's systems are failing. They likely don't have much time. Weapon status on the larger ship? Bennett asked. Nichols checked his tactical display. Energy readings suggest powerful weapons, much more advanced than ours. Carter stood up. Open a channel to both ships. The view screen split to show 2 different images. On one side was the same pale alien they had seen in the distress message. On the other was a reptilian being with scales that shifted color from green to red as it spoke. This is not your concern, unknown vessel, the reptilian alien said, its voice deep and threatening. The Nalari Imperium claims these criminals. Leave immediately. The pale alien looked desperate. Humans, you came, please help us. The Nalari will use our genetic memory technology to expand their empire. Millions will suffer. Carter stepped forward where both aliens could see her. This is Commander Allison Carter of the United Earth Defense Force. We received a distress call and are here to render assistance. The Nalari commander's eyes narrowed. Earth? The Forbidden World? You were quarantined to your solar system for good reason. Your kind are too unpredictable, too dangerous. The bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Quarantined? Carter repeated. Explain yourself. The Galactic Council designated your planet as off-limits centuries ago, the Nalari said. Your species evolved in conditions that should have killed you. You are unnatural. Carter's face hardened. We evolved on our world just as you evolved on yours. There's nothing unnatural about adaptation and survival. Now I ask you again to stand down your weapons. The Nalari commander laughed. You have no authority here, human. Your primitive vessel doesn't concern us. The transmission cut off. They're charging weapons, Nichols called out. Shields up, Carter ordered. Red alert. The pale alien looked terrified. We are sorry to bring this trouble to you. We are the Alari. I am First Scholar Vincent. We only wanted to study in peace. We'll talk more after we deal with the Nalari, Carter assured him, before his transmission was also cut off by weapon fire hitting the Endurance. The ship shook violently. Shields at 82%, Bennett reported. Carter's mind raced. They were outgunned and facing an unknown enemy. But humans had never backed down from a challenge. If Earth had truly been quarantined because other species feared human adaptability, then perhaps it was time to show them exactly what humans could do. Battle stations, she ordered calmly. Let's show these Nalari why Deathworlders should never be underestimated. The crew moved with purpose, ready to face whatever came next. The Nalari had no idea what they had just started. They would soon regret the day they met the humans of Earth. The Endurance rocked as another blast from the Nalari warship struck its shields. The bridge crew held tight to their stations as the lights flickered. Shields at 65%. Security Chief Olivia Bennett called out, her voice steady despite the danger. Commander, Allison Carter's mind worked quickly. They were outgunned, but that didn't mean they were outmatched. Humans had always been good at finding creative solutions when backed into a corner. "Mr. Nichols, what are their shield patterns?" she asked. "Lieutenant." Kyle Nichols studied his tactical display. "They're cycling through frequencies, but there's a pattern. I think Dr. Mendoza might be able to crack it." Carter nodded. "Dr. Mendoza, work with tactical. Find a weakness in their shields." She turned to Communications Officer Greg Hudson. "Try to reach the Alari ship again, see if they have any insights on Nalari technology." "Yes, Commander," both officers replied. Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields at 53%, Bennett reported. "We can't take much more of this." Carter pressed a button on her chair. "Engineering, this is the commander. How are we holding up?" Chief Engineer Paul Wilson's voice came through, background noise of the engine. Room nearly drowning him out. "The new experimental engines are handling the strain, Commander, but I wouldn't recommend pushing them past 90% capacity." Carter smiled slightly. "What if we need to push them to 95%? There was a pause. "Then I'd recommend we all say our prayers first, ma'am." "Noted. Stand by for my order." Carter turned to Navigator Diane Powell. "How quickly can you plot a course that would take us directly behind the Nalari ship?" Powell blinked in surprise. "That would mean passing extremely close to them, Commander. The gravitational stress alone would—" "I know the risks, Navigator. Can you do it?" Powell nodded slowly. "Yes, ma'am, but it would require split-second timing and full engine power." "Plot." "The course," Carter ordered. "Mr. Hudson, any response from the Alari?" Hudson shook his head. "Their communications are down, but I'm getting life signs. They're still alive, but their ship is failing." Dr. Mendoza called out from his station. "Commander, I've analyzed their shield patterns. There's a fluctuation every 12.6 seconds when they fire their main weapons. It's brief, but it might be enough for a targeted strike." Carter nodded. "Good work." She hit her comm button again. "Major Frank Peterson, prepare your fighter squadron. We're going to need a distraction." "Copy that, Commander," came the response. "My pilots are ready." Carter stood up, her face determined. "Here's the plan. We're going to make the Nalari think we're attempting to flee. Major Peterson's fighters will launch and engage, drawing their fire. When they focus on the fighters, we'll execute a high-velocity turn and position ourselves behind their ship. When their shields fluctuate, we'll fire everything we've got at their engine section." Bennett looked concerned. "Commander, that maneuver will put incredible stress on our hull. The G-forces alone will be difficult, yes," Carter interrupted. "But we've trained for high G conditions. According to what the Nalari said, they consider us Deathworlders. Let's show them what that means." She turned to her crew. "This is why we're here. Not just to make first contact, but to help those in need. The Alari reached out to us because they believed we could help them. Let's prove them right." The bridge was quiet for a moment, then Nichols spoke up. "If anyone can pull this off, it's this crew." Carter nodded. "Prepare for maneuver. Major Peterson, launch fighters on my mark." In the fighter bay, Major Frank Peterson climbed into his small, nimble craft. 5 other pilots did the same, each checking their systems with practiced efficiency. "Listen up," Peterson said through the comm system. "We're the distraction. Keep moving. Don't present an easy target, and remember your training. We evolved on a world with hurricanes, tornadoes, and lightning storms. Flying through hostile conditions is in our blood." The pilots acknowledged his words, determination evident in their voices. "Fighter squadron ready for launch," Peterson reported. "To the bridge." "Launch on my mark," came Commander Carter's voice. 3, 2, 1, mark. The 6 fighters shot out of the Endurance's bay, immediately breaking into an unpredictable pattern as they headed toward the massive Nalari warship. On the bridge of the Nalari flagship, High Commander Vex watched in confusion as the small human vessels approached. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "Their main ship is retreating, yet they send these tiny craft toward us?" His tactical officer looked equally baffled. "They appear to be attack fighters, High Commander, but they're too small to pose any threat to our shields." "Perhaps they mean to board us," another officer suggested. Vex shook his head. "No, target them with our secondary weapons. Destroy them quickly." "Yes, High Commander." As the Nalari weapons officer prepared to fire, Alert suddenly blared across the bridge. The human mothership. It's accelerating toward us at an impossible speed. Vex spun around. What? How? The G-forces would kill any normal species. On the view screen, the UES, Endurance was executing a turn that should have torn it apart, or at least killed its crew. Instead, it was moving with precision directly toward the Nalari ship's rear section. Impossible, Vex whispered. Fire main weapons. Destroy them now. Inside the Endurance, the crew struggled against the crushing force of the high-G maneuver. Their training on Earth with its higher gravity had prepared them for this moment. Still, it was nearly unbearable. Engineering reports engines at 93% capacity, Hudson managed to say through gritted teeth. Keep it steady, Carter ordered, her own voice strained. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. The ship completed its turn, now positioned directly behind the Nalari vessel. They're firing main weapons at our fighters, Nichols reported. Shield fluctuation in 3, 2, 1. Fire, Carter commanded. The Endurance released a barrage of torpedoes, each one precisely targeted at the Nalari ship's engines where the shields had momentarily weakened. Vex watched in horror as the human weapons passed through his ship's shields. How did they? His question was cut short as the bridge shook violently. Engine decks 3 and 4 are hit, his engineering officer shouted. We're losing power. Impossible, Vex repeated. They couldn't have known about the fluctuation pattern. Another hit rocked the ship. The human fighters are targeting our weapon systems now, the tactical officer reported. Our secondary shields are failing. Vex's scales changed color, showing his fear. These humans, they fight like no species we've encountered. Major Peterson led his squadron through a series of maneuvers that would have been suicidal for pilots. From most worlds, they twisted and turned, pulling G-forces that would have caused most alien species to black out. Target their weapon systems, Peterson ordered. Give the Endurance time to finish the job. His fighters struck with precision, further damaging the Nalari ship. On the Endurance's bridge, Carter watched as their plan worked perfectly. Their engine power is dropping, Mendoza reported. They're losing the ability to maneuver. Shields? Carter asked. Their shields are failing, Bennett replied. We've got them, Commander. Carter nodded. Open a channel to the Nalari ship. When the reptilian face of Commander Vex appeared on screen, his scales had turned a pale green. This is Commander Carter. Your ship is crippled. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Vex stared at her with a mixture of fear and disbelief. How? How did you know about our shield fluctuations? How did your crew survive those maneuvers? Carter's expression remained stern. We're Deathworlders, remember? We evolved on a planet that challenged us at every turn. Now your answer? The Nalari commander seemed to deflate. We stand down. The Nalari Empire has never surrendered before. You will be remembered for this, humans. The transmission ended and Carter turned to her crew. Well done, everyone. Now let's help the Alari and find out what this whole forbidden planet business is about. As the Endurance moved toward the damaged Alari vessel, the crew couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of humanity's journey into a much larger and more complex galaxy than they had ever imagined. The Endurance positioned itself alongside the damaged Alari vessel. Through the viewports, the crew could see the extent of the damage. The slender ship's hull was scorched and breached in multiple places. Only emergency force fields kept the atmosphere inside. Status of the Alari ship? Commander Carter asked. Science Officer Eric Mendoza studied his readings. Their life support is failing. I count 28 life signs aboard, but they're weak. They need immediate assistance. Carter nodded. Dr. Foster, prepare your medical team. Security Chief Bennett, assemble a boarding party. I want to get those people to safety. Dr. Liam Foster's voice came through the comm system. Medical bay is ready, Commander. We've prepared for possible alien physiology, but we'll be working blind. Understood. Do your best. Carter turned to Communications Officer Greg Hudson. Contact the Alari. Tell them help is coming. Hudson worked his console. After a moment, the pale face of First Scholar Vincent appeared on screen. He looked even worse than before, his translucent skin now showing blue veins pulsing rapidly. "You defeated the Nalari," Vincent said, his large eyes wide with wonder. "No one has ever done that before." "We're sending a team to bring you aboard our ship," Carter told him. "Your vessel is too damaged to repair quickly." Vincent bowed his head. "We are grateful. Our people are mostly scientists and explorers. We have 12 injured who need medical attention." "We'll take care of them," Carter assured him. "Prepare your people for transport." As the transmission ended, Bennett approached with her security team, all equipped with environmental suits. "We're ready, Commander." Carter nodded. "Proceed with caution. Remember, this is still first contact. Be respectful, but stay alert." While Bennett's team boarded the Alari vessel, Carter turned her attention to the crippled Nalari warship. Their weapons were offline, but Carter wasn't taking any chances. "Mr. Nichols, keep weapons locked on the Nalari ship. If they so much as power up a shuttle, I want to know." "Yes, Commander," Nichols replied from the tactical station. "And what about the Nalari crew?" asked Diplomatic Officer Samantha Riley. "What are we going to do with them?" It was a good question. The Endurance wasn't designed to hold prisoners, especially not alien ones. "We'll secure their command staff," Carter decided. "The rest can remain on their vessel under guard. Once we understand more about this situation, we'll decide next steps." The bridge elevator doors opened and Navigator Diane Powell returned to her station. She had been among those most affected by the high-G maneuver. "Are you all right, Navigator?" Carter asked. Powell nodded. "Yes, Commander. Dr. Foster cleared me. He says our training on Earth gave us an advantage. Apparently, we can withstand forces that would kill most galactic species." Carter thought about this. What else might humans take for granted that would seem extraordinary to others? Her thoughts were interrupted by a call from Bennett. "Commander, we've secured the Alari. We're bringing 12 injured and 16 others who can walk on their own." "Good work. Bring them to medical and the observation lounge. I'll meet you there." The observation lounge had been quickly converted to accommodate the Alari visitors. When Carter entered, she found the aliens sitting or standing nervously, their large eyes taking in everything around them. "First Scholar," Vincent approached her. Up close, Carter could see that his skin was not simply pale but slightly translucent, with a network of blue veins visible beneath. He stood about as tall as Carter, but was much more slender, with long fingers that ended in 6 digits instead of 5. "Commander Carter," Vincent said with a slight bow. "I must express our deepest gratitude. Without your intervention, we would all be dead or worse." "You're welcome," Carter replied. "But I have many questions." Vincent nodded. "Of course, you deserve answers." "Let's start with why Earth was designated as a forbidden planet," Carter suggested. Vincent looked uncomfortable. "The Galactic Council made that designation over 300 of your Earth years ago, when their exploration vessels first discovered your world. They found Earth's conditions extreme." "Extreme how?" Carter asked. "Your gravity is much stronger than most habitable worlds. Your atmospheric pressure is intense. Your weather patterns are violent. Your world experiences regular natural disasters. And the diversity of life on Earth, especially predatory species, is almost unprecedented." Vincent's large eyes blinked slowly. "The Council scientists determined that any intelligent species evolving in such conditions would be potentially dangerous to the galactic community." Carter frowned. "So we were quarantined because of assumptions about what we might do?" "Yes," Vincent admitted. "It is not something I personally agree with, but the Council's decision was final. No contact was to be made until humans either destroyed themselves or reached a state of philosophical enlightenment that would temper their physical capabilities." "That's ridiculous," Carter said. "You can't judge a species based on the planet they evolved on." "And yet," came a new voice, "the evidence supports the Council's caution." Carter turned to see a Nalari being escorted into the room by Bennett and 2 security officers. Unlike Commander Vex, this Nalari's scales were a deep blue, and he wore what appeared to be ceremonial attire rather than a military uniform. "Commander, this is High Advisor Zorn of the Nalari Imperium," Bennett introduced. "He has requested to speak with you." Carter nodded to the Nalari. High Advisor. Zorn's vertical pupils narrowed as he studied Carter. You have accomplished what no other species has done in centuries. You defeated a sovereign-class Nalari warship with your primitive vessel. I wouldn't call our ship primitive, Carter replied. By Nalari standards it is, Zorn said. And yet you prevailed. Do you know why? When Carter didn't answer, Zorn continued. Because you fight differently. You execute maneuvers that would kill most species. Your reflexes are faster. Your endurance is greater. Your bodies can withstand forces that would crush others, all because you evolved on a death world. Earth is not a death world, Carter protested. It's home. That is exactly the point, Zorn said. What you consider normal would be fatal to many species in our galaxy. The average Alari would die within minutes on your world's surface from the gravity alone. Vincent nodded in agreement. It's true. We evolved on a world with approximately 0.6 of Earth's gravity. Your world would crush us. Carter took a moment to process this information. So when you sent that distress call specifically to Earth, we knew only Deathworlders would have a chance against the Nalari, Vincent admitted. The Council was wrong to fear you. Sometimes the galaxy needs what humans can offer. The room fell silent as Carter considered the implications. Humans weren't just joining the galactic community. They were entering it as a species with unique capabilities that others both feared and needed. Commander, Hudson's voice came through her communicator. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. General Walsh wants an update. Tell her I'll report shortly, Carter replied. She turned back to Vincent and Zorn. We have much more to discuss, but right now, I need to inform my superiors about this situation. As Carter left the observation lounge, her mind raced with the new understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. The quarantine had been lifted not by choice but by necessity, and now Earth would have to decide how to move forward in this new reality, as saviors, as warriors, or as something else entirely. One thing was certain, the galaxy would never be the same now that the Deathworlders had arrived. 2 days had passed since the battle with the Nalari. The Endurance remained in the Tau Ceti system, its crew busy with repairs and the care of their alien guests. Commander Allison Carter sat in her office reviewing reports and preparing for a critical meeting. Her door chimed. Enter, she called. Diplomatic Officer Samantha Riley stepped in, carrying a datapad. Commander, I've finished analyzing the information the Alari shared with us about the Galactic Council. Carter gestured to a chair. What have you learned? Riley sat down. The Council consists of representatives from 12 advanced species. They manage interstellar relations, trade, and exploration for most of the known galaxy. The Nalari Imperium is not a member. They're considered a rogue state that has conquered 17 worlds. And Earth? Earth was classified as restricted. Zone 7, one of only 9 planets in the entire galaxy with that designation. Riley looked down at her notes. All of them are what the Council terms death worlds, planets with extreme conditions that produce physically resilient species. Carter frowned. They feared what we might become. Yes. According to their records, previous encounters with death world species led to conflicts. The Council decided it was safer to isolate such worlds until they reached a certain technological or philosophical milestone. And who decides when we've reached that milestone? Carter asked. Riley shrugged. The Council, apparently. But our intervention here has changed everything. We're on the galactic stage now, whether they like it or not. Carter nodded slowly. Thank you, Riley. Is everyone assembled for the meeting? Yes, Commander, they're waiting in the conference room. The conference room was unusually full. Along with Carter's senior staff, First Scholar Vincent represented the Alari, while High Advisor Zorn represented the Nalari. General Patricia Walsh of Earth Command attended via video link. Carter stood at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming. We find ourselves in an unprecedented situation that will shape humanity's future in this galaxy. She turned to Vincent. First Scholar, please explain what the Nalari wanted from your people. Vincent's large eyes blinked slowly. The Alari have developed a technology we call genetic memory transfer. It allows the sharing of knowledge and experiences between individuals without years of study. We use it for education and preserving our history. The military applications are obvious, Zorn interrupted, his scales shifting to an orange hue. Imagine instantly creating perfect soldiers with the combined experience of your greatest warriors. Which is why the Nalari attacked your research vessel, Carter concluded. Vincent nodded. Yes. We were returning from a scientific mission when they intercepted us. We knew of Earth from our historical records and took a desperate chance sending our distress call there. General Walsh leaned forward in her video feed. And now that we've responded, what happens next? It sounds like we've violated some galactic quarantine. The Council will certainly be concerned, Vincent admitted, but they cannot undo what has happened. Humanity has proven itself both militarily capable and morally sound by coming to our aid. Security Chief Olivia Bennett spoke up. What about the Nalari? They're still a threat. All eyes turned to Zorn. The Nalari advisor's scales rippled with color before settling on a deep blue. The Nalari Imperium recognizes power, he said slowly. Your victory over our warship will not be forgotten. I am authorized to offer a formal truce between Earth and the Imperium. Carter raised an eyebrow. Just like that? We are practical, Zorn replied. We have seen what humans can do. We would rather have you as allies than enemies. We're not interested in becoming allies with a regime that conquers peaceful worlds, Carter said firmly. Zorn's scales flashed briefly. Then perhaps neutrality for now. Either way, word of what happened here will spread quickly. The galaxy will know that humans have arrived. General Walsh cleared her throat. Commander Carter, what's your assessment of this situation? Carter took a moment to gather her thoughts. Earth has been thrust onto the galactic stage before we were fully prepared. But we can't go back to isolation now. I believe we need to establish formal contact with this Galactic Council and make it clear that we expect to be treated as equals, not as some dangerous species to be contained. And what about the Alari? Walsh asked. They're the reason we're in this situation. Vincent stood. Though his frame was slender, there was dignity in his posture. The Alari wish to establish formal relations with Earth. We offer our knowledge and friendship. In return, we ask for your protection against those who would misuse our technology. Carter looked at Dr. Mendoza. Your thoughts on their genetic memory technology? Mendoza adjusted his glasses. It's far beyond anything we've developed. The potential benefits for human advancement are enormous, if used ethically. Carter nodded and turned back to the general. I recommend we accept the Alari's offer of friendship and establish formal diplomatic relations. Walsh considered this. And the Nalari? We accept their truce, but nothing more for now, Carter said. They need to know that conquest and aggression won't be tolerated. Zorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. You speak as if humans have the power to enforce such rules. We defeated your best warship, Lieutenant Kyle Nichols pointed. Out one ship, Zorn countered. The Imperium has hundreds. But now they know what humans are capable of, Carter said quietly. Sometimes that's enough. General Walsh nodded. Very well, Commander. Your recommendations are accepted. The President and the Security Council have authorized me to inform you that the Endurance will remain in the Tau Ceti system as Earth's first extraterrestrial embassy. A support fleet is being prepared and will join you within the month. Carter hadn't expected this. General, you've handled first contact admirably, Commander. Who better to represent Earth as we take our first steps into the larger galaxy? Walsh smiled slightly. Besides, the Alari seem to trust you, and even the Nalari respect you. That's a good foundation to build on. After the meeting concluded and the others had left, Carter stood alone by the viewport, gazing out at the stars. So much had changed in just a few days. Humanity had discovered they weren't alone, that they were feared for their natural abilities, and that they had the potential to become a significant power in galactic politics. Navigator Diane Powell joined her at the window. Quite a view, isn't it, Commander? Carter nodded. And to think we once believed we were alone. What happens now? Powell asked. Now? Carter smiled. Now we learn everything we can about this new galaxy. We make friends where possible, stand firm against threats, and show everyone that humans may be Deathworlders. But we're not to be feared, unless you threaten those under our protection, like the Alari. Like the Alari, Carter agreed. The Nalari attacked them and sent a distress call our way. They made us reveal ourselves to the galaxy before we were ready. And now they regret it, Powell finished. I think the entire galaxy might be re-evaluating their position on Deathworlders, Carter said. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. As the Endurance orbited the alien world, humanity's first interstellar embassy prepared for its new role. The quarantine was broken. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and those who had tried to keep them isolated were about to discover that humans were not just physically resilient. They were adaptable, innovative, and determined to carve out their place among the stars. The Nalari had indeed received a lesson. They wouldn't soon forget. Never underestimate a species that evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Such a species doesn't know how to give up. Such a species will always find a way to survive and thrive.